Well, I first heard about it with Roland's name attached, and I think that was the thing. Before I even read the script, that got me initially really excited about it. And I had just, I'd grown up on his movies and had always wanted to work with somebody like him who has, in my opinion, really been a part of filmmaking history. And then when I got to read the script and see what my character was like, and then find out, the rest of the cast and all the pieces started to come together, I just got so excited about it. And it was great. I was able to have a conversation with Roland pretty soon after I read the script and hear from him, what he was looking at when it came to the character and what he was wanting to focus on. And then pretty quickly after that, he was able to put Patrick and myself in touch. And yeah, and then of course the global pandemic happened, so we had to sit around and wait a little while, but now we're here and we're getting to do it after all that. With a guy like Roland, I think he's always kind of looking to take it to the next level. Even before starting filming, I had watched White House Down, and there's that scene where the limousine is driving on the White House lawn and there's a whole car chase and there's a Gatling gun, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy's just been, he's just always trying to top it. And then hearing about, just how his brain works and how he's able to conceive of all this stuff. But then for me to get to see it on the page, I'd never read a script like this, and just how extensive it is and detailed. And for me then also selfishly getting to see that I get to be in some car chases and, in zero gravity, like jumping off cliffs and doing all this crazy stuff like that. I was very, very excited for that. That was when I was like, oh wow, I hope this really does get to work out and I get to be having all that fun with him doing that. Sonny is the son of Patrick Wilson's character, Brian Harper. And when we first see Sonny, he is getting pulled over by a bunch of cops and arrested for a reason that we're not really clear on. But, originally it was kind of said that he and his friend got in kind of a mix-up, and his friend had some, magic mushrooms and drugs like that in the car, and then all of a sudden he was speeding and it turned into a hectic car chase, and my guy Sonny was just kind of a deer in the headlights a little bit. And then we're introduced to him and his relationship with his father, which is pretty toxic to say the least, and is one where there hasn't been really any communication for quite some time. And I feel as though my dad has really let me down in an extremely significant way and has not been there for me repeatedly. And finally, he's making this ploy of I am going to be there and I am going to be, a good dad. And I just don't buy it because, for my whole life, that's not been the case. And he's continually disappointed me. I had my own kind of understanding of, Sonny's view of what his childhood looked like and, the past 10 years with his dad on and off. But we more so had conversations, I think, of really trying, in the moments we had on screen together, really trying to make the most of those and how we could do that. And this was really, this has been my first experience on a project like this, the size of it and the tone of the film and the pace of it and everything. So I was asking him a lot about that at the beginning, because he had just worked with Roland on Midway, and obviously he does movies like Aquaman and The Conjuring and things like that, and it was really helpful to get to hear from him, because obviously he has such a wealth of experience, how he really operates and what he's thinking of and when, and then we kind of used that as a jumping off point and then got into character somewhat, and yeah, it's just been really fun to get to do those scenes with him and try things out. And he is such a phenomenal actor, and I've been such a fan of his for such a long time. So yeah, so that's been really cool. I'm gonna miss him once he heads back home for Christmas, but but it's been really good thus far. Going from having such a deep resentment towards his dad, maybe even you would say kind of a hatred towards his dad, to then seeing his dad be a hero and really taking responsibility, and then potentially having to say goodbye to his dad forever. And so I think, Sonny's really caught up in the emotions of what that is and the complexity of that, and surprised by the fact that, of course, he loves his dad. And I think in that moment, any resentment, any kind of hate, anything that really existed in the past between them, I think really, fades away, and all that really exists is, I might never get to see you again, and understanding the severity of that. And we had talked about, Patrick and I talked a little bit about, like, that those were conversations that probably happened quite often when I was younger, in terms of, when he would go on a mission, he would always have to say to me and my mom, like, there's a chance that I might not come back. But I think obviously, I was younger then, and my relationship with him has changed so much since then, that now seeing myself in that same situation, but with basically like a different set of eyes and a completely different life experience, I think that definitely changes things. But I definitely think I am, proud of him. And I mean, I think it's like anybody and their dad, no matter what has happened and they're still your dad, and you still love them, and you still want to be them in some way and look up to them so much. And so I think that definitely is there too. The mission itself is to get Jimmy Fowler's son and Michelle, his guardian, basically, to Aspen, or no, sorry, not to Aspen, to this base where Jimmy's dad is. And that's to get to safety, number one, but also in order to help them out up in space. And I mean, Sonny takes that incredibly seriously. I think especially because pretty quickly, him and his dad have this reunion of sorts. He's still pretty upset with his dad because, again, this is really the first time they're really getting to have a conversation outside of prison glass in quite some time. But I think it's also clear that, Sonny's really scared more than anything, I think. And really quickly, I think his dad is able to make it clear to him that, if he has any strength, if there is anything he can lean on right now, that's what he needs to do. And ultimately, this is just life or death. When Sonny first sees Michelle, it's in this kind of, just wave of chaos of, everyone's leaving, shipping off, here's a gun, you got to get in the car, you got to drive here, don't turn back, et cetera, et cetera. And so when he sees Michelle, I think obviously she's, a ray of light. And then as their relationship starts to develop over that second and third act, I think, Sonny obviously respects her, and I think they're able to start to kind of have little moments that they share together and little bridges of connection, and then that just kind of develops more and more and more. But we really haven't, we've done the scene where we first meet, and then we've done the scene at the very end. So everything in between, we're gonna get to play with and have fun with. But I hope we do get to have fun with it, and I hope there is a sense of, like, getting to try things out. Like, she makes fun of my tattoo and stuff like that we'll get to kind of play around about. I mean, certainly harrowing stuff. I think that, we definitely save that for when we're rolling, and then fortunately when we're not, we get to kind of laugh a little bit. And we had this Zane, who's playing Jimmy, he's got this like full dummy version of himself that they use sometimes, like when he's in the back seat of the car and they're not really seeing him. So we have a whole bit about that's kind of going on, and Zane has created this amazing world about this character that's the dummy, and he's evil, of course, and everything. So we get to just do stuff like that, and then obviously then when we're going, we try to bring the intensity and bring the urgency and all that good stuff. But it's a lot of fun. I think, like, the stuff that we're getting to do is just so extraordinary and just kind of ridiculous in of itself, and getting to kind of put yourself in the middle of that, and when you're working with such great people at the same time, it just makes it so much fun. That was amazing. I've never experienced anything like that. So I was like really, going in kind of just hoping for the best. And it turned out to just be a lot of fun, honestly. I mean, it's very specific in how it operates, but once we had it down, it was kind of like a dance almost. You know, we were on this rig in the car, and we've got this great guy, Frank, who's reading out all the action cues and kind of allowing us to like move through the entire chase scene. And I just had never experienced anything like that, so that was a ton of fun. And then, you know, like when poor Zane is getting sucked up into the air and we're having to pull him in and stuff like that, where you know, and then when you get to kind of take a step back and watch playback or whatever it is, and get to actually see how it looks. So it's one thing when there's a big wind machine and fake snow and all that, you know, going, but then when you actually get to see how it's all coming together and the way the camera moves and everything, it really is something. It's just so detailed. I mean, down to like a calendar that's a 2022 calendar with like, you know, oh, this is Valentine's Day and stuff like that. I mean, he is just so detailed when it comes to all that stuff. And I mean, I genuinely feel like a little kid. Like, I really feel like this is what I'm at, you know, when I was like 6 or 7 years old. And that's what's really cool, getting to work with someone like than Zane, who's playing Jimmy, because obviously he is 8. And so he is like getting to actually really do all this stuff at the age that I think you're probably having the most fun, getting to really feel like, you know, you're in like your imagination, you know, and very rarely I think do people get to feel like that ever. So I think the fact that he makes that feel more tangible and really just even more as detailed as possible, I think that just, you know, adds so much fun to it, and it's just so impressive. I think somebody told me something like 130 sets were built, you know, for the entire film, which is just absurd. I mean, that's like that's like almost a set, a scene. but um, but yeah, I mean, it's such a testament to him, but also all the people he chooses to work with. I think they're all such professionals and so good at what they do, and they make it look easy. It's definitely a little different. You know, we got our little cubicles that we go to in between takes and stuff like that. But no, I mean, we definitely have. Like, she's been introducing me to WeChat. I didn't know about that. I got her hooked on Plants vs. Zombies again because she apparently was a recovering addict of Plants vs. Zombies, and I, you know, I got her back on the good stuff. But but yeah, so we kind of, you know, we'll chat about that. And if I ever see her, like we got 5 minutes, she's right back on there, you know, destroying all the zombies that she can. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think like in the spirit of the characters, you know, like you were saying, Jimmy and Michelle and Sonny all do spend this, you know, basically the entire second half of the movie together. And so I felt like, okay, even though, you know, these crazy, disastrous circumstances are in front of them, at the same time, you know, they have to kind of establish a rapport. And that's why I think it has been fun that naturally, like, we've been able to do that and kind of develop these jokes and storylines and stuff like that, and just kind of keeping ourselves busy, but also having fun. I'm so excited to see it. First and foremost, selfishly, I'm very excited to see it. But I mean, I'm so excited to see it because I think it is this larger than life film. I think it's extraordinary in what it's trying to do. I mean, there's a lot going on, and there's so much going on that it's really hard for me to even begin to explain to people what, I mean, you know, I can briefly kind of say, but then as soon as you get into one thing that connects to the next, and then it all kind of, you know, it just takes you down that rabbit hole. So I think I'm just really excited for people to hopefully jump into that rabbit hole and have a great time and you know, hopefully really enjoy and connect with these characters. But at the same time, I think just really enjoy what the experience of the movie is. And I'm definitely excited to experience that for myself. But yeah, and share that experience with their family and their loved ones. And I think especially, you know, coming off the year that we've had as a global community, like a movie like this, you know, in the past would have been such a, oh, this is just a ridiculous thing to happen. But now I think people have a different perspective about things like this. And so hopefully it can be a unifying thing more than anything.